So we're here today with Jill Ragan Scully, who is the owner and operator of Impressive Windows and Interiors down in downtown historic Hastings. Jill, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So today we wanted to talk a little bit about wallpaper. And it's something that you are known for, something that you do as part of the many things that you do down at your shop and in your business. So I wanted to just ask, is there a trend lately over the last year or two, Jill, toward wallpaper?
Well, we do quite a bit of wallpaper. We also work with a wide variety of age groups when it comes to our clientele, from 30s to 70s and 80s. And I have to say that the younger generation of clientele is the one that's becoming a lot more comfortable with wallpaper. I can see the older generation is still a little bit apprehensive. I think they had many, many years of built up hatred for wallpaper. But I'm here to tell you that it really is the papers that they have now come in such a wide variety of options and colors and textures. I can assure you that there is something for everyone. Most people use it, very sparingly, but they do use it nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Now, you use the word hatred.
Strong word.
A strong word. But
yeah.
But perhaps there is hatred for wallpaper. What do you think? What do you think has made people hate wallpaper?
Well, I know we were talking off camera. Our very first house in 1997 that we moved into had the house before the occupants vacated. They had black lacquer furniture everywhere. They had black wallpaper with pink flowers, and they also had pink wallpaper with black flowers. There were borders everywhere, and the entire thing matched. We had to. It took us many months to get rid of that wallpaper because it wasn't properly adhered to the wall.
Okay.
And that's one of probably the biggest problems is people don't take the time to prepare their walls ahead of time, and they DIY it, which there's nothing wrong with DIYing your wallpaper. Absolutely not. But you do have to prepare ahead of time to make sure that once you go to remove that wallpaper, it will come off easily.
Right. Okay. So it's maybe just a matter of people have had bad experiences. They've had traumatic experiences trying to remove and or replace wallpaper in the past.
Exactly.
Typically, as realtors, we try to encourage people to brighten up their surroundings and have it be, welcoming. And that just seems like you'd be closed in and it would be too dark and too serious, negative space.
And if you don't prepare your wall ahead of time, it's impossible to get the wallpaper off. As a matter of fact, that very same house, there was a small little bath in the basement. And we could not get it off because they went right over the bare sheetrock with the wallpaper. So there was no priming, there was no painting involved. It was stuck on like cement. So we had to paint right over that wallpaper. Was the only way to get that pattern, get rid of the pattern visually. So and that is a huge no, but
Okay. And you no longer live there?
No, we no longer live there. It looked beautiful when we left, though.
I bet it did. Any home that Jill Ragan Scully used to live in, probably you got a good deal if you purchased it, because I'm sure it looks great. It looked great. What sorts of questions do you get from prospective clients for wallpaper when they're like, we're not sure about wallpaper? What do you do to convince them, tip them over the edge to make them wallpaper something?
Well, to be honest with you, the mere mention of wallpaper sometimes turns people completely off. So typically when we do any sort of design consultation or paint consultation, I typically throw in a couple of paper options, wallpaper options, just so that they kind of have an idea. And usually when I surprise them, they are very pleasantly surprised. And 9 times out of 10 do move forward with papering at least one wall.
No.
So it's exciting. I'm excited to see this change in the landscape.
Yeah, definitely. What is the most, and we're going to get into some of your slides here in a bit. What's the most popular thing as far as people doing an entire wall, an entire room? Are they just doing an accent wall? And then also just maybe walk us through some of the other options for, you mentioned a number of things off camera that people can do with wallpaper, but what's kind of like the predominant thing that folks are doing once they accept that, okay, we're going to do some wallpaper, but
Yep.
it's only going to be this much.
Usually an accent wall,
Okay.
some to really highlight and create a wow factor in like a dining, so an area that maybe you see right when you come in the front door of the home. It could be just the foyer that is papered. It could be a dining room, an adjacent dining room, or a living room wall, something that maybe you just want to add a little bit of interest to.
Sure.
And for many years, a really hot item has been grass cloth. And grass cloth is something that it looks like it's a woven. You can get it in a very wide variety of colors, and just gives a little texture to the wall. It's really pretty. As a matter of fact, we have a grass cloth on our dining room wall, and it has a little bit of like a gold sheen to it, so it's a little sparkly in just the right light. But you wouldn't notice it unless you're in that perfect light. So
Yeah.
it kind of disappears, and it was really safe at the time. But I'll show you in a little bit. We're going to be papering a wall in the basement. I got the thumbs up from the husband,
All right.
and I'm excited to show you what the pattern looks like. It's pretty exciting. It's one of my favorites.
Cool. Okay.
Oh, and another area that a lot of people do is behind bookshelves, like a bookcase, just to give it a little bit of pattern as well.
Okay.
That's pretty much.
So like an open backed bookshelf.
Like built-ins. People can.
Oh, like built-ins. Okay.
You can even paper like wood. If your built-ins have wood in the back, you can just paper right over that wood as well.
Okay.
It's completely fine, as long as the paper has enough pattern into it or in it, so that once the glue dries, you're really not going to notice if your wood has like a grain on it. If you were to do like a thin paper, you might notice some kind of a grain as the glue settles in there, and you don't want that. But there are ways to get around it.
Is it easier to remove now with the current technology as far as adhering it to the wall? Is it easier to remove? Has technology developed in the last 20 years to make it an easier proposition?
Yes. Yes and no. Yes, it has. There are a lot of tools that you can use to remove wallpaper, but again, the key is to put the paper on the wall correctly in the first place. That is the huge deal. If you don't put it on in the first place the correct way, you're going to have a very difficult time getting it off. If you don't have a pre-pasted wallpaper, and I don't really recommend pre-pasted wallpaper, to be honest with you, just a simple foam roller to put the wallpaper paste on the back of the paper, and it goes on evenly. It's enough glue on there so that if you do steam it off, it literally peels right off the wall.
Wow.
When you're ready to take it off. So I think it's fairly easy to take it off as long as you put it on the correct way. Just take those extra steps, even though you're excited and you want to get it on, just take the time to put it on the correct way, and you'll be happy that you did.
Wallpaper, as far as its exposure to moisture,
So if you have wallpaper in a kitchen setting or in a bathroom,
Hmm.
what does moisture do to wallpaper kind of mid to long term?
Well, in a moist area, you could develop mold and soiling. And the vinyl wallpapers are good in areas like that because you can use a mild dish detergent and just wipe them off. Um, Sometimes you will find if the wallpaper hasn't been adhered correctly, it could lift at the seams in areas that are a little bit more moist than others.
Okay.
And if it does happen to do that, it's, if you do have a professional that put the paper on, please call your professional to repair it. If you choose to do it yourself, please don't use Elmer's glue to repair those seams. Use a wallpaper glue like you would if you were adhering the wallpaper in the first place.
Or super glue.
Not super. No, sir.
As far as like in a bathroom setting or a bedroom, a couple of the different experiences we've had with it, we've had kind of like the border around the top of the room. I know there's a name for that, or
A
is it just
border.
a border? Okay. How popular is that nowadays?
I have not seen that come back yet.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
still kind of
I think that's still in the archives. Yep.
that's in the archives. Okay.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
I haven't seen it back, but that's not to say that it won't come back. I just haven't seen it.
So Jill, you said you had some examples of some work that you've done and some examples of the different types of wallpaper that are possible. And
Mhm.
you have some slides for us.
All about wallpaper, not your grandma's wallpaper, because a lot of people get a little bit scared when we talk about wallpaper because they think about how grandma's yellow floral wallpaper was in her kitchen, in her living room, in her bathroom, in her foyer. It was everywhere, and it was patterns that clashed together, and it was really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Um, and as you can see in the photo here, we have a photo of a wallpaper, a very graphic floral wallpaper that has upholstery, pillows, artwork, and draperies that all coordinate together. So it's not necessarily where the wallpaper takes over the whole room, it sort of anchors all the components together.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about the different uses that you can have when using wallpaper. And here's a good example where it's just an entryway. Um, just an entryway to a room, just a foyer, and it's a simple, fun, graphic wallpaper. Again, you can kind of see the little peacocks in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really, really cute. But this room, you can obviously see from the reflection, it looks like it's the entire room. But you don't have to overwhelm yourself or your guests visually by putting in an entire room. You can just use it simply as the backing to a bookcase. You can use it below the glass on a table. You can use it just as an accent wall. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. And with the resurgence of all of the decorative uh, moldings that they have now, some of which are higher than what you see here, like a chair rail, they go higher. If you were just to add a little bit of wallpaper on the top and an otherwise, white entryway, you're going to get a lot of color. But it's just going to add a little bit of interest to an otherwise white room.
Yeah.
And here's just a tone on tone blue, nothing overpowering. It's not something that's, going to drive you crazy visually or drive most people crazy visually. And now that I mention, driving somebody crazy, I wanted to also make sure that everyone notes that just because this may be visually appealing to you. It's not necessarily going to be visually appealing to someone else, because our tastes and the way that we decorate our homes, what we like and what we don't like, is all a result of the experiences that we've had in our lives, and that makes us all unique. So something like this might be really safe for, say, someone that used to have an overpowering grandmother, an overpowering, I should say, wallpaper at their grandmother's house.
Okay.
So it's just a subtle way to add texture, color, pattern in an otherwise possibly boring room, a way to express yourself. And this is a great example of how you can use wallpaper. Like I mentioned in the first slide, you can use wallpaper to anchor a room together with your paint colors, your upholstery, molding and trim, and artwork. Because all these kind of coordinate together and kind of, alone, if you could imagine eliminating all this wallpaper, I think the room would look kind of boring. Mm-hmm. And I think it really does a little bit of something. Mm-hmm. And this one, off camera, we were kind of reviewing the slides, and I was telling Tom that, this isn't necessarily my taste, but my mom loves Tommy Bahama, and I know that this would be a favorite of hers because she always likes to feel like she's in a tropical paradise. So, this is a way that you can add a little bit of travel and adventure into your home.
And I see the peacocks in there too. That's cool.
Yeah, and here's peacocks again, but it's in the fabric.
There's a theme here.
Yes. All these photos are from TiVo wallpaper and fabrics, so they're courtesy of TiVo. Wow. One of the brands that we carry. So, it's nice. Very nice. Definitely a cohesive theme, right? Peacocks. And if you go to the showroom, there are peacocks there too in our wallpaper.
From our previous interview, there are peacocks.
Yes, there are.
Yeah. And
this is an ode to my sister. She's a huge purple fan. So I threw this slide in there because I thought it was a great way to add a little bit of purple to a room, which is a very mysterious color and a little bit of pattern. But wallpaper comes in a lot of different types, which I've listed here. So there are a lot of different options for you when it comes, and a lot of different uses, depending on what area of the home that you're considering adding the wallpaper to.
Right. Wow. What room? I know we mentioned accent walls, Jill, but what room is predominantly the most popular for wallpapering?
Well, it varies because everybody's home has a different layout. But like I mentioned previously, it's usually that one of those wow walls right when you walk in the door. Like for us, when you come into our front door to the left, you see it's a vaulted ceiling and you see a large wall in our dining room. So we chose to add wallpaper, that texture, tone-on-tone grass cloth to that wall.
Cool.
As kind of a little wow factor. So it kind of depends on the layout of your home, but if you to have like a colonial, a foyer would be a great way to add some pattern with wallpaper. One more slide I wanted to show you, and this is the one I'm most proud of. And the picture isn't exactly clear, but this is my absolute favorite pattern that I'm just obsessed with this pattern right now. And it comes in, I think, 8 different colorways. And colorway is basically the colors that are within the wallpaper itself. This one is the pattern name is Hanshu, Hanshu by TiVo, and the color is navy. Now, this wouldn't necessarily look good in the next area that I'm going to wallpaper in my house. So I have some visual aids. I am going to be adding this. This isn't the wallpaper, but it's the fabric. So this is going to be added to the basement wall,
Okay.
which is right next to my drapery and upholstery workroom. So I can see it every time I come to work, which is
Nice.
often.
Yeah.
So, and here's another colorway that it comes in. So you can see that it's always a little bit different. That's the coral version. Coral and green, it's called. But they're all a little bit different. They look different, but they are that very same pattern, that handshoes. So it comes with matching wallpaper and fabric. So it's quite beautiful in person.
Are there parts of the world, obviously here in the United States, the upper Midwest, there are differences in how we design our homes versus the Southwest or versus the Northeast or the South?
Yeah, the South is much more brave when it comes to pattern and embellishment and color.
Mhm.
I didn't have time to get to ask colleagues for some photos, but so I did get them from Tebow, the company themselves. But a lot of the colleagues that are in my drapery world, this is typical of what they will have in some of the homes that they design. So it's pretty
Okay.
incredible. Great talented designers down there that definitely use pattern and color to their advantage, and they have very open and adventurous clients.
Hmm. Okay. Well, having been to both, I've lived in Arizona and then having been to California and Florida, um, definitely I agree. It seems to be a lot more, um, they're a lot more willing to be out there with
Yep,
color, with design, with more of a flash sort of thing.
they are.
Seems
Yep.
to be more of the like a sunshine, like I guess just the overall construction of the homes
Hmm.
and the way things are designed are a lot more toward a warm weather climate, I guess is the
Right.
way I would describe it. Okay.
And I put together a free wallpaper calculating guide that I'm going to have available on. If you go to my Instagram page, you have to click on a link within my bio, and that will bring you directly to a file that you can download and use to calculate wallpaper. It's all free. You
Yeah.
don't need to give me your name or anything, your name or email and nothing. It's just free for you to use. So
And then you're also on the web, impressivewindowsandinteriors.com, correct?
correct. Yep.
Okay. I think the appeal of wallpaper and different design techniques is out there as I go as a realtor um, and see homes inside private homes. I was just in two yesterday, and they were using definitely some of the things that Jill has been talking about today with wallpaper, with the different chair rails, with crown moldings, things like that that um, have kind of been um, you know, in and out of fashion, I guess, over the years. But some of the things seem to be that, especially if you're on Jill's website, if you're on her Instagram page, she's up to snuff with what's kind of the latest and greatest out there. Um, I know, I was mentioning also that the um, new construction too is huge into wallpaper and huge into accent walls. And if you look at things that are staged, they are definitely using wallpaper as an element in new construction, whether that's in the living rooms or bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that. So it definitely has made a comeback since the dark days of the 80s and 90s, where people uh, were trying to get rid of. People are now trying to get rid of the wallpaper. Back in the early 2000s, I think it is making a comeback. You can even see it in restaurants and in
Yes.
hotels and things like that too,
Yeah.
I think. So we definitely try to recommend if someone is trying to sell their home that they take a look. It's not necessarily that they would redesign their home or do a lot of work to their existing residence, but if you do have something that might be a bit over the top, as far as a color selection or something that would detract from people wanting
Mhm.
to live there or wanting to purchase
Right.
a home, but they are cognizant of that
Mhm.
prior to putting it on the market, um, but not doing too much work where
Right.
they might do something that they like, but the preponderance of people coming to see their home are not going to like it. So it's
Yep.
kind of that delicate balance. Um, Jill, also, while we're talking about design and while we're talking about paper and things, um, we were discussing also about gray walls in the late 2000 teens and the early 2020s. Certainly huge for gray walls with white trim.
Yeah.
And I think in the 30s or 40s, as we move forward here, people are going to look back on this time period and go, "Was every wall gray?"
Right.
What are some colors that are big other than gray right now that you would advise people to mix it up a little bit?
Well, the Pantone color of the year is yellow. It's a tone of yellow. So yellow paired with gray is beautiful. There are a lot of colors that you can pair with the neutral gray. Um, as an example, you can see the background of this wallpaper has a taupe color in it. Well, that could certainly go with, if you had taupe walls, certainly. But there is also a colorway um, that we have here that has both taupe and gray in it. So this would pair really well with gray. So
Yeah.
I I would say that paper is a great option to pair um, with the neutrals that you're going to see out there.
Mhm.
And I've even noticed people coming to me after they move into homes and complaining about how homes are so boring because they're gray. They want to add colors. So they come to me and they add draperies and window treatments and things like that with texture in order to get that color because they don't necessarily even want to repaint anything because the entire house is gray.
Right.
But I think you can pretty much pair anything, with gray because gray comes in. I know it seems kind of strange to say there are a lot of different grays, but if you were to look at some paint strips of grays with blue undertones and taupe undertones and green undertones, you're going to see a wide variety of gray coloring.
Mhm.
So you can really pair that gray with just about anything if you have the right shade of gray.
I'm curious also, we touched on this earlier off camera, but just with 2020 being, I think by all accounts, kind of a stressful year
Mm-hmm.
for so many reasons. That's a whole nother show, but with 2020 being a stressful year and they're working from home, or maybe they've had a loved one that has been sick, or maybe they know of someone who's been sick, or they're worried about their own health, or they're worried about their job or their economic standing. All of those things, does that contribute to the selection of color? Does that contribute to the emotional kind of the vibe that you get when you're in your home and when you're in a location of, boy, we want something that's just, I think you said it's just safe, something that's neutral, feels safe to people. Would that be a fair assessment?
Um, well, people, I think, when they're out looking for a home, or they're choosing a sofa, or they're choosing a fabric for a chair, or a countertop, or a backsplash, they're probably going to go safe. That's kind of how we seem to, as a whole, um, operate, or I shouldn't say operate, how we behave in the Midwest.
Mhm.
As it, generally, we're kind of a safe group up here, but once people start living in their homes, like I am working with so many people right now that have added blue walls and they've added floral draperies and they've added so much more than just it's kind of exciting to see people stepping out of that comfort zone and really living in their homes and wanting to they're spending so much time in their homes. They want them to be comfortable and make them happy.
Right.
And happy is relative. You know, what is happy for me, like what you see in this photo, is because of all the experiences and things that I've been exposed to in my lifetime. And I can tell you, it would take me probably a good hour to tell you why this wallpaper speaks to me.
Yeah.
But I think people are choosing pieces and choosing colors and patterns right now that make them more happy than they ever have, because they are realizing that mental health is extremely important.
Yeah.
And if we're all going to be spending so much time in our homes, working from home, teaching our children from home, that we need to really love where we live.
Mm-hmm. Cooking and
Yep.
Yeah, the whole thing. People not going out to eat as much.
Right.
Absolutely. And you have traveled so extensively as well, so I'm sure you've seen things and seen places and gotten ideas over the years that now resonate with you in your
Right.
work today.
Yep.
No, I was telling Jill that we actually have, we don't have wallpaper, but we have our entryway is red. You come into our main living area at our home and it's yellow. And then our hallway to our bedroom is yellow. We do have a gray bedroom. But the room in the back of the house, which was kind of the addition before we lived here, is green, and it's kind of more of a sunroom type 3-season area. That's green, so we've really embraced, and I think we have an orange room downstairs, or like a coral type of thing. So we've really embraced the color in our home, and it's something, yeah, like you said, we know we're going to be living here for years and years. We want to enjoy it.
Right.
We're not designing our house to be sold at some point,
Right.
to be neutral.
And it makes you happy.
It makes us happy. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have really enjoyed this conversation about wallpaper. Obviously, whenever you come on the show, Jill, it's always, I'm learning something, and hopefully we've passed some of your knowledge on to our viewers here on Hastings Happenings, and people viewing this on your social media as well. If people wanted to get a hold of you, I know you're located in historic downtown Hastings. That's your showroom, doing most of your work on site at your house in your workroom downstairs.
Yep.
And,
with wallpaper.
Yeah, and the wallpaper, which is perfect.
Yep.
Perfect for this discussion. How would they get a hold of you best if they wanted to reach out to you and maybe get some ideas? Just get an idea of what you could do for their home.
Well, you can view, some of the after photos and work we've done on our Instagram page. You can see the link here. Impressive Windows and Interiors. You can also go to our website, which is impressivewindowsandinteriors.com. There's a contact us form on there, as well as on other contact information and phone number and things like that. So
great. Okay. And then, yeah, there's a phone number on there as well. What's your phone number, quick?
651-437-5512. And we still do all of our appointments ourselves. I do them myself. Mm-hmm. So we do recommend that you make an appointment before you stop down at the showroom, just because we could be out with a client, or we could be meeting with another client. And just for everyone's safety, we like to make sure that we are social distancing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you haven't seen the showroom, definitely make an appointment to go down there and take a look. It is incredible. There are so many great ideas. And plus, it's the way Jill has designed it with all the areas of vignettes of here's what an outdoor room could look like. Here's what, here's her draperies. Here's this and that bedroom. She just has every possible scenario lined up there. A large showroom in downtown Hastings. It's incredible. So make sure to check
Nice.
that out too.
More wallpaper coming soon.
More wallpaper coming soon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, we really appreciate your time today. And I'm sure we'll be talking. I think we'd like to do this on a fairly regular basis, Jill, just to keep people
That sounds
informed
good.
about what's kind of hot out there.
Yep.
And to give them some ideas of design for my prospective clients as well with InMotion Realty. And if people want to get a hold of me, my contact information is here on screen. And love to talk to you and just if you're thinking of selling a home, please contact me. No obligation at all. We'll just talk with you about what your home might go for on the market right now. Still, inventory is fairly low. And interest rates are very low too. So a good time to sell, a good time to buy. And we'd love to help you out and give you some advice. So thanks again, Jill. And we will talk soon.
Thanks, Tom.